prior to. Okay, Deeksha, can you kind of talk about your experience before applying to college, doing your volunteering, having an internship, and how it kind of played into your college applications?
Well, I don't really know whether it played a giant role in my acceptances, but I interned at the Deutsche Bank, and I'm currently an intern at Tamishk, and I'm a volunteer at an NGO called Youth for Seva, which is basically an organization that lets you teach children in government schools either English or computers, because they found that these are the two areas that children in these schools are lacking. They have maths teachers, they have science teachers, but their English teachers don't know English. So it's a bridge that they're trying to gap. And I think the most challenging part of volunteering especially is the fact that it's a huge commitment. You can't say, I'm going to volunteer and then not show up, because those children are counting on you being in school and they look forward to learning from you, because you start to form this relationship with them, and if you do not go for 1 week, it breaks that, and then it takes 2-3 weeks to gain that again. So if you're going to volunteer, you're going to have to be very dedicated about it, and that is kind of hard with the level of commitment that's expected in India in 11th and 12th grades, especially 12th grade with mid-yearlies. I had 5 pre-boards. So I volunteered even during my pre-boards because the organization was fine with me, missing out because I had exams, but clearly the kids, even though they didn't say it, would not be fine with me missing. So in my opinion, it's great to volunteer. You learn a lot, and you give and take at the same time, but it requires a lot of dedication. And yes, it does add to your application, but please do not volunteer because you're applying to the US. That's a strict no-no. I know people who have started volunteering because they thought it would look good on their resume, but schools know whether you're doing it for the application process, and please don't do that because it's not right. And secondly, it's not going to work. So if you want to volunteer, that's great, but the reasons behind it are equally important as the act. And yes, it does play, I'm told, a pretty big role in your acceptance. You're not actually told why you're accepted, you just are. So I don't know what played in my favor, but yes, apparently it does help with your acceptances. Just examine the reasons why you want to work or volunteer. That's what I have to say.
I'd like to answer that. So I have some friends too who have done some really good community service, and I'm pretty sure that did play a really big part in their admissions. So, but the important thing, as all kinds of, you'll see it in all college books, college admission books, that the important thing is about being yourself. So if a part of who you are is that you like helping people, then you should go for it. And because being yourself doesn't mean you just be who you are and be complacent. It means you work towards what you're interested in, and that's what colleges like to see. So even if you don't do community service, it's fine, because you should do what really interests you. Because some of my friends, they thought that they'd like to dedicate some time into doing research work or internships. So while some people dedicate a lot of time helping out the underprivileged, the kids, they spend some time in universities under professors, and they publish some research papers. They got them published in an international journal, and that played an important and equally important part in their admission process as well. So it isn't about doing community service or doing internships or doing research. It's about doing what you're interested in, because that's why you'll have maximum gains.
And to add on to that, in the extracurriculars, like extracurriculars, volunteering services, instead of getting a bunch of them on your resume, just stick to one which you prefer and just go as much. The universities prefer depth rather than range. As instead of like right now you're in 11th to 12th, instead of just signing up for a bunch of sport, and stick to something you've been doing for a long time, like let's say a sport, and just keep continuing that, and they'll appreciate that more than if you are just randomly taking sports.
And And I think many of you also use some of your experiences to write about in your college essays. So you were able to reflect on the experiences that you had volunteering or in sports or organizing different events that really helped you be able to articulate who you are to the colleges and universities. Because universities are looking for a student who's well-rounded, right, and who's going to be a good contribution to their community. So you want to show them who you are and how you'll contribute to that community.